So, hey there, Tim Young, MPA, 15-year TI. When I told old Kevin Christian in Atlanta, like when I did a little interview with him, like, dude, I thought this was mental illness for like 12 of my 15 years. It may have been altered video or whatnot, it may not have been, but he thought that was pretty funny. The tech is very deceptive. We can be misled in extreme ways that seem subtle. Saw some good videos. There was a young kid that may have had some EMF perp show up as a cop when he was 7 and basically steal him from his parents. He got subjected to, I think, the Monarch mind control programs and was really with it and up on the defensive structures for TI and defenses against neuro-linguistic programming. And we shared some views, particularly on meta money, the fiat system. It's not really fucking money. People whine and bitch and build their whole lives around it and then just give it away when they die anyways, so greed. Anyways, I was third sector, you know, Christian disposition, didn't really even use the word, but okay, so shit's going down. I'm out here in the park. There's some kind of fair going on. Perps they've been here for like a year. I don't know. I get cooped up in the man from room 5 space, and then they move in perps into the house. Heavy T had his wife replaced. That was an EMF perp, and such and so forth. So that fake people laying in their own shit in other locations, passed out on those machines, like Kevin Christian describes, has been the blight of my existence for 15 years. Anyways, I got prompting from a perp in my head, and they're trying to do like false positive. I mean, this is a contractor in the analogous language of James Lyko, a monitor in the analogous language of Kevin Christian. It's an EMF perp laying in his own shit in another location. It has like possibly personality disorders, but they're reporting back to structures like Command Central, community-based agents, ElectroCore. Anyways, I'm trying to avoid false positives on narcissism. There are like 5,000 of them that have attacked me over 15 years. Like, oh, nope, it's that one narc broadcasting in your room that won't leave you alone. And then, you know, when I sleep at night, does some kind of virtue signaling. And I got prompting from the NLP to look at it, and then false confirmation as I walk around Hillsborough and whatnot. So my mind has been a non-consensual receiver of NLP from the intelligence outfits and psychopaths, sociopaths, and yes, some narcissists in those descriptors. There was a voice that I was reading listening to a video on narcissism. He's like, that basically describes everybody in the ElectroCore. Maybe a bit of an overestimate and wants to gravitate towards his allies in a continued effort to Zugstrig at TI, a blue state Democrat, wonky guy. And I am exceptional, and I am fantastic, and I get beat down by these psychological operations and whatnot. And at the same time, like, they'll bring in legions of the misled who thought they were worshiping me, but it was really like in some of the false confirmation dangers, like it's a narcissist on a broadcast. And I've been a non-consensual synthetic telepathy torture object for 15 years. Like, I don't know how long this cult's been running or how long the virtue signaling has been going on, but I've done some pretty fantastic things in my life, even encumbered and disabled through TI status and neurolinguistic programming every 15 to 20 seconds from synthetic telepathy cults who can sit on headgear at another location, and if they think your wife is cute enough, they'll have your life experience while you're screwing your wife, and then they're passed out either in a state-sponsored terrorism location or their mom's basement. And so there's a lot of people that are having my life experience, as Kevin Christian describes, seeing throughout my eyes, experiencing the world as I, maybe even able to filter out some of the pain that I get from the NLP and whatnot. And it's difficult being a TI. It's extremely difficult. It's not in the press today, but I was reading on Romola D's blog. They may keep it out of the press. A judge that was involved in obstruction of justice, trying to put Todd Giffen, a whistleblower on the synthetic telepathy tech all the way up to the Navy, they wanted to declare him incompetent, and he was a smart, wicked guy and could read law books and had national intelligence. And if Romola D's blog is correct, judge, and I can't confirm it because it's not in the mainstream press, but if Romola D's blog is correct, that guy woke up dead. Somebody probably remote control killed him. That wasn't me. And so that's like electric core, perp gangs, fucking community-based agents, command central, the synthetic telepathy, international agenda that I lose even incarnating. It's unfolding, and I'm not happy about it. You know, I've been tortured by the systems for 15 years, TI, and thought it was only mental illness for so many years, so many tortured years, because somebody with the access to the list through the Department of Homeland Security and all the B system apparatus that unfolded after September the 11th and the problem reaction solution setup, because somebody got a hard-on for a duck and never let go. And so the weaponization of narcissism in electromagnetic form perping, where they can walk around, some of that may not be false confirmation. Some of these perps were saying, like when I was in Redmond and got out, they were reading my RNM and doing virtue signaling in Bend, and like got welcomed in open arms, like knew just what to say. And meanwhile, it's not spiritual, they're the unclean. They're laying in their own feces in other locations and mind fucking people, where they walk up to a woman that's attractive, and they're getting fed information about all of her social media input from their gang, so they can like know everything about them and then try to woo them into like sleeping with them or something like that. And if that doesn't work, and this is the caliber of people that are virtue stealing for me to pretend like they're not completely 100% evil, if that doesn't work out, they'll just knock them out with remote neural monitoring technology, snow white them, rape them while they're asleep, and then get the fuck out of town. And so when I say virtue signaling, like they're trying to cover their Satanism and evil with my good by pretending to be me in like ways Kevin Christian describes, having my life experience, it being a receiver of my consciousness, and then only using it against me in 180 degree. It's their own fucking jelly. They can have a slab of the peanut butter of their sin, and the bread really is poison. So it's like a military contractor. It's a fucking monitor. It's synthetic telepathy cults. It's broadcasting. It's electromagnetic form perping. It's neurolinguistic programming. It's the B system, and it's not confined only to the United States. It's quite a worldwide phenomena. You know, Asia, Africa, UK. Folks are getting broadcast in China, and yeah, so here I sit at the library trying to be inconspicuous, not really. So for anybody that showed up for the shit show and doesn't know who they're talking shit about, it's me. I got my little t-shirt on. And then at the same time, like at speed of thought, they're doing this virtue signaling thing for people with like psychological disorders, like narcissists proper. But it's like PSYOP, psychological operations manuals written by people who tried to figure out, like, you know, how do you degrade the human condition the most? Well, talk to a fucking narcissist. So there is protocol. It's not as disorganized as it would appear. Art of war is a big tactic in this, like appearing weak when you're really strong. And there's about 1.5 million of us out of Blackwater estimates, those Blackwater boys that do the dirty work for the military. They're covert. There was a term that was used. It was like it wasn't genocide. It was a word descriptor to describe what they're doing in destroying the human consciousness. It's like menticide or something like that. An aware, targeted individual young man who unfortunately got into the monarch end of it. Somebody basically stolen from his parents. A tough person, and knew what he was talking about, and I agreed with some of his perspectives. He talked about like Britney Spears being abused when she was a kid, and like having an alt where she says "strong Britney," and it's like a trigger, and she's and then all of those people that have been having the Britney Spears experience, sitting on the fucking headsets, you know, or pretending to be, what was her husband's name, or, you know, going into the mind remotely of whatever, Justin Timberlake, whoever. And so when they think they're having an intimate moment together, all these disgusting people are laying in their own feces and then their own cum, because Britney and her boyfriend's having sex, and then, oh, I get to be Britney too. And so I can't emphasize enough the danger and the deception and the illusion of these people virtue stealing, trying to cover their Satanism and baseness and immorality and acting like monkeys with saying what I say because I'm an intelligent person, among other criteria. So I guess they're like welcomed in open arms and Bend and all this kind of stuff. I had a dog talking to me. I hadn't quite figured out the tech that the dog's mouth could be moved and even sound, and it really looked like the dog's talking, and the dog really didn't talk. I had an incident out in Bend. It's a similar op, move people in with me to deny constitutional rights, hostile soldiers in the house, deep faked video to trigger super soldiers, and then blanket the town with these NLP Satanists who are mind-fucking the residents by having Central Command tell them everything about the person in front of them in undue influences and applications of target audience, targeted individual psychological operations. So it's really difficult being a TI. I've been here about a year. I think I'm gonna get moved out because I wrote on the wall that I wanted to be free. I guess there's somebody in the EMF Perpetupolis giving me credit for the Free Britney campaign, because she's fucking handled too. I did Free Timmy, and then in a misdirect, everybody's playing baseball with it. Anyways, know your moments at death studies. I've been pretty clear about that. I'm prevented from really explaining that as much as I would want to because of the NLP Satanists that won't get off the fucking headgear. But then again, they're on the side of the Luciferian agenda of total dominance of every individual with this tech, making you a mind control robot, trauma-based mind control. It might last 15 years, so completely working against me, having the full force of the federal government behind them, and then nobody's playing straight. They don't even talk directly to the TI. They're always trying to be clever with the NLP. They believe the community slander, and they're worshiping narcissists laying in their own feces, pirating a TI's consciousness. This group of gang stalkers like Two Faces, Vedowin. I mean, they have different names for the electric core of the fucktards that get together and ruin the human condition and work as contractors to destroy the lives of TI around the clock. So they will predictably probably end up hating their devil's guru. And it's the unclean that Christians were warned about. Not that there's a Christian heaven because you get memory wiped at the moon, but they're laying in their own feces. Their genome is despicable, and concepts applied. They play out the rules of demonic interest in the United States and the world, and at the same time have systems where they never get caught. And so that's the sub-reality of the EMF. Some of them were bragging about that with EMF perping, one of the first things they did to brag to the international intelligence community that they could do this to their own country and never get caught was the Watergate scandal. The break-in, was that the Nixon election? Allegedly, one of my perps in my R&M that's, destroying my life along with 1.5 million Americans every day, said that Watergate was EMF perping. Like the intelligence agency, the CIA wanted to brag just how dysfunctional they were. They're like, we'll do it to our own fucking country. And so brazen, sadistic, how low can you go, and secretly can't get caught or don't have repercussions, faking that they're like Christian angels, and it's a monitor, like Kevin describes, like suiciding people, virtue signaling to cover it up. And I'm one person, and it's the full force of the federal government up against me, like myself and all those old women that are getting remote tortured. Like 80% of TIs are women. Technically they're all enemies of the United States too. And this like narc taking a patsy for 5,000 that have tried to kill me out of the electric core. That guy's supposed to be like Jesus, or like the God of the Mormon, or the God of the Jew, and the motherfucker just sits up all night like mimicking me for the broadcast. And like meanwhile I'm suicided by his gang, and then dirtbags walk around Hillsborough and mislead my public and make my, you know, front counter customer service professionals have to endure NLP terse talk and ruin their day more than it already could be. So it's bad enough for a TI. Like, I'm tortured every fucking day. Like those reports Kevin's talking about, getting attacks on his balls, eugenics, rectal torture, I already solved that. You know, blasts to the liver, you know, heart and stuff like that. That's been my last 15 years. A big one that they've used on me is remote torture, internal organ damage that gives acid reflux as a response. So I get lied to a lot. It's helpful as a TI to watch other TIs' videos to see how they're lied to as well from your perspective and help deprogram yourself. Like this woman that was made an MK Ultra sex slave was being programmed with goddess material, like adding meaning to the suffering. Like she was already under mind control and a slave, but the insult compliment of somebody that doesn't have any human rights or, you know, dignity or even free will is to start, you know, calling the torture sex object a goddess or something, from EMF perps laying in their own shit in other locations. So yeah. And I may have said it on a previous video, like Lear, John Lear is my elder expert on the moon and the soul reincarnation systems. Like I heard an interview from him and he like met this scientist that was like up on a maglev train that's hard to see of all the structures on the surface of the moon. He was like some kind of Nazi scientist or whatnot. And allegedly, like, he told John Lear this story of being on a train on the surface of the moon, and he had a Ziploc bag, and I can't confirm or deny this, but he had a Ziploc bag full of human souls that he fucking spilled on the train. I don't know. I don't know if I could, you know, I don't remember last time I was at the moon too, but it's not what it seems. And Lear knows more about it than probably a lot of people. So I would recommend folks check that out. Counterintuitive Moments of Death study, Tibetan Book of the Dead. I'm getting virtue signal, Zugstrig, fucking how do you fuck over a blue state wonk, political dissident, and it's around the clock. It's incessant, it's compulsive, it's addiction for them. And I am structurally designed around even buying my own headsets to steal my mind back from these cults. So that's the electric core. That's who's enslaving you. Paid really well in no good ways. And repeating patterns of history of, you know, what happened in Germany and what happened in Russia. The temptation was to turn in good people to the secret police for these secret spy groups, which consumed both countries. And we're now more dangerous, more remote torture-y, more hide the Nazi in the EMF, with no repercussions for slow kill. So what do you think is going to happen to the US in the next 50 to 75 years? Do you want to write a social studies paper on it or a college dissertation? Because I think it's going to go to hell. Predictable historical analysis, plus with all this disclosure about this tech and the international synthetic telepathy agenda. Like, I lose even incarnating. Like, life's a bitch. I hope you guys have a good day, particularly the TI.